You seal the hatch above your head. A single click. That's the last sound of the surface world you will ever hear. Right now, you are sitting inside a steel sphere smaller than your bedroom, about to sink into a place darker than anything the human eye has ever evolved to see. A place with more pressure crushing down on you per square inch than the weight of 10 fully loaded jumbo jets stacked on your chest. You are going to the bottom of the ocean, the actual bottom. And in the next 15 minutes, you're going to find out exactly what that does to a human body and to a machine built to protect one. Here's the number that should scare you before you even move an inch. 10,935 meters. That's the depth of the Challenger Deep inside the Mariana Trench in the western Pacific Ocean. That's the depth of the Challenger Deep inside the Mariana Trench in the western Pacific Ocean. The peak would still sit over 2 kilometers underwater. Fewer people have been to the bottom of this trench than have walked on the moon. You're about to be one of them. Except you're not riding in a NASA-funded titanium capsule with a team of engineers who tested every bolt for a decade. This is your submarine, custom-built, sealed, and about to be tested by the one force in nature that shows no mercy for mistakes: water pressure.
Let's talk about what pressure actually means down here, because this isn't abstract. This is physics that will decide whether you come back up.
At the surface, you're already living under 1 atmosphere of pressure, about 14.7 pounds pushing on every square inch of your body. You don't feel it because your body pushes back equally. But water is heavy. For every 10 meters you descend, you gain 1 more full atmosphere of pressure. By 200 meters, you're out of what's called the sunlight zone, the last depth where the sun's rays reach and photosynthesis is possible. By 1,000 meters, you enter the Twilight Zone. Sunlight is gone, replaced by faint bioluminescent flickers from creatures that make their own light. Because nothing else exists down here. By 4,000 meters, welcome to the Midnight Zone. Absolute, total darkness. Your submarine's floodlights are now the only light source for kilometers in every direction. Past 6,000 meters, you're in the Abyssal Zone. Near freezing water, crushing pressure, almost no life. And below 6,000 meters, only in a handful of ocean trenches on Earth, is the Hadal Zone, named after Hades, the underworld. This is where you're headed. At the very bottom, at 10,935 meters, the pressure reaches roughly 1,100 atmospheres. That means every single square inch of your hull is being pushed on by over 16,000 pounds of force. For scale, that's the weight of a fully grown African elephant concentrated onto an area smaller than a postage stamp. If your hull fails at that depth, there is no slow leak. There is no warning. There is implosion, walls collapsing inward faster than the human nervous system can register pain. In 2023, the world watched this exact physics happen to the Titan submersible. It was over in milliseconds. You know this, and you're going anyway? The surface light fades above you like someone slowly turning down a dimmer switch. 50 meters. 100. 150. Your hull creaks. Not a break, just steel adjusting to new pressure, like your ears popping on a plane. You remind yourself, this is normal. You built this thing to handle far more than this. At 200 meters, the last blue light disappears completely. You are now in a world with zero natural sunlight. Something flickers past your porthole, a soft blue-green glow, a siphonophore drifting like a ghost made of light. Then another. Twilight Zone creatures don't need color vision. They need eyes that catch the faintest light. Your depth gauge reads 900 meters. The pressure outside is now 90 times what you feel on land. You check your hull integrity sensors. Green. Still green. You keep going down. 1,000 meters. The midnight zone begins. And with it, true darkness. The kind your eyes were never designed to adjust to. Because there is nothing to adjust to. Your floodlights cut a narrow cone through black water thick with drifting particles, marine snow falling from the world above. Organic debris falling from the world above, feeding creatures that will never see the sun. Then you see it. An anglerfish, its bioluminescent lure swaying gently in front of a mouth full of needle teeth. Using its own light as bait for something even smaller than itself, in a world with no rules except survive or vanish. At 2,500 meters, a groan echoes through the hull, longer this time, deeper. Your pressure sensor flickers. For half a second, one reading spikes. Then it stabilizes. You exhale. You tell yourself it's just the cold. Steel contracting at temperatures just above freezing. But you are now past the point where a fast return is survivable. There is only down, and eventually a slow way home. You check your oxygen. 6 hours remaining. Depth, 3,800 meters. The Abyssal Zone begins. At 4,000 meters, something changes. It's not just darker, it's emptier. Life thins out almost completely here. The pressure is so extreme, the temperature so close to freezing. Only a handful of highly specialized organisms can survive. Sea cucumbers, pale amphipods, deep-sea anglerfish pushed to their limit. Your hull is now under roughly 400 atmospheres of pressure. If you stepped outside without your suit, your body would be compressed instantly. Lungs, sinuses, every air pocket crushed in a fraction of a second. A metallic groan rattles through the cabin, longer, sharper. Your hull integrity sensor blinks amber for the first time. You freeze. It clears. Green again. But now you're thinking about it. You're 4,600 meters down. And for the first time, you consider, what if it doesn't clear next time? You check the trench map. The floor of the Mariana Trench is still 6,300 meters below. You keep descending. 6,000 meters. You cross into the Hadal Zone, named for the underworld, and it feels like it. The silence here isn't peaceful. It's total. No current sounds, no distant whale song. Just your breathing and the hum of life support. At 8,000 meters, your amber warning light returns. This time, it doesn't clear in a second. It takes 3. You are now deeper than 99.9% of all humans who have ever lived. You are approaching 800 atmospheres, like balancing a small car on every square inch of your hull. 9,000, 9,500. A translucent shape drifts past, a Hadal snailfish. Its biology exists as a direct answer to the physics threatening you. 10,500 meters. Your hull groans and doesn't stop. Your amber light turns red. Your hands hover over ascent controls. Every instinct screams, go up now. But you're 400 meters from the deepest point on Earth. You make a choice. You keep going down. 10,935 meters. Your depth gauge stops climbing. You have reached the Challenger Deep, the absolute bottom of the world's oceans. The deepest natural point on the entire surface of planet Earth. Outside your porthole, pale sediment, undisturbed for millions of years. No sunlight has ever touched this ground. No human footstep has ever pressed into it. And yet, life. A tiny translucent amphipod drifts past your light, utterly unbothered by 1,100 atmospheres of pressure. A creature perfectly evolved for a world that would annihilate you in less than a blink. Your whole red lights are still glowing. The metal groan hasn't stopped. But for this moment, at the lowest point any human has ever occupied on Earth, none of that matters. You are further from every other human in history than almost anyone ever has been. Not in distance, in pressure, in isolation, in impossibility. And your hull is still holding, for now. You begin your ascent, slowly, because coming up too fast is its own kind of death sentence down here. As the pressure eases, meter by meter, your hull's warning light flickers from red back to amber. You watch it. You wait. At 8,000 meters, it turns green again. You allow yourself, for the first time in over an hour, to breathe normally. But as you rise through the Abyssal Zone and the Midnight Zone, back toward the faint blue glow of the Twilight Zone above you, one thought stays with you, and it won't leave. That crack in your hull integrity held. This time. But you know every dive weakens metal a little more than the last. Which means the real question was never, what happens if you go to the deepest place on Earth? It's this. Would you go back down again, knowing exactly what it almost cost you?